You are welcome back. Now let's look at typography.
Typography is all about the text in our design, the type of font we use, the way we arrange it, and every other thing. By definition, typography is the art and technique of arranging type to make written language legible, readable, and visually appealing. So it has to do with selecting typeface, font, and the way we arrange them, like I said. Now let's look at the key aspects of typography. The first one we'll be looking at is typeface. When you hear the word typeface, what comes to your mind? A typeface is a set of characters with a consistent design. Some examples of typeface are Arial, Times New Roman. I know most people are used to Arial and Times New Roman. You would have come across them. They are referred to as typeface. Most times we call them font. Yes, we can call them font too, but let's talk about fonts now. A font is a specific style, weight, and size of a typeface. So, in other words, a font is like a subset of a typeface. Examples of font are Arial Regular, Arial Bold. For example, we have Arial as a typeface. Whenever you hear the word Arial, Arial is not just a font, it is a typeface. But under Arial, we now have different other types of Arial. So each of them are referred to as fonts. For example, Arial Regular is a font. Arial Bold is a font under the Arial typeface. The same thing goes with some other typefaces. Sometimes we have Times New Roman Regular, Times New Roman Slim, Times New Roman Bold. Each of them are referred to as fonts, but everything together are referred to as typeface. So most times we just tend to use font, and font, but typeface is broader than font. Now let's look at the next thing, which is the hierarchy. Establishing a hierarchy helps guide the reader's eyes. Now hierarchy is just like a way of laying your text, like a way of arranging your text, where we have the headings, we have the subheading, we have the body. Sometimes when we are writing something, when we are designing something, you might just have only the heading and the body. For example, this page now, the numbers number 3 and number 4, they are the headings, while the explanation under them, they are the body. So sometimes you can have hierarchy. We can have heading, subheading, and we still have body again. Now let's look at alignment. Alignment, when it comes to text, alignment means the way we arrange the text. Sometimes we can align our text to the left, to the right, center, or justified. When we say justify means you are aligning the text both to the left and to the right. For example, take a look at this paragraph. If you look at this paragraph, it is aligned to the left because you realize that everything is justified to the left here. That is, when we say justify, it means everything must be, the word under must start at the same point the one above starts. Now, if you take a look at this paragraph, this one is justified because it is aligned to both the left side and the right hand side. Now, if you look at this paragraph, this one is justified to the right. You realize that it is not justified to the left, but it is justified to the right. And for this last paragraph, this is justified to the center. This paragraph is justified to the center. So that is what alignment is all about. It's just a way of aligning your text, maybe to the left, to the right, and what you are working on will determine the way you will align your text. Now let's look at line spacing or leading. So leading refers to the vertical space between lines of text, that is lines. Now let's take a look at this paragraph. You realize that the leading in this second paragraph is different from, let's take this as the first paragraph and this as the second paragraph. Now they have different leading, that is different line spacing. So that is to explain what line spacing or leading is. So whenever you come across the word leading, you understand what it means. Now let's look at canning and tracking. Canning means adjusting the space between individuals. Just let's look at this example. Let's look at these three lines. You realize that the canning of this one, adjusting them, is different from this one and is different from this one. So leading is the space in between lines, while canning is the space in between each character, that is each alphabet. Now let's look at the next key aspect of typography, that's emphasis. When we're talking about emphasis, then we are referring to bold and italics. If you look at this now, this bold, you can see that the word was made bold, and this italics is just like you making your statement slant a little bit. Readability and legibility. Typography aims to ensure that text is both readable. For example, if you look at this, the canning that I did here, you realize that it will be difficult for you to read this one. So when you are talking about typography, your text must be readable and it must be legible. So we can use font size, color, and contrast to make text readable, to make our typography readable. Now let's look at types of typography. There are different types of typography, but there are two major types of typography, and they are the serif and sans serif. Now serif and sans serif, every other types of typography can be categorized under serif and sans serif. Just know that fonts are broadly categorized as serif and sans serif, and the serif fonts, they are the ones with small decorative lines at the end, while the sans serif, the sans means no, so that is no, the sans serif means no decorative line. Now let's take a look at we'll be looking at 7 typographic types in this video. The first one, like I said, is serif. We say serif has small decorative lines. Let's take a look at this. Whenever you come across any font that has small tiny lines at the end like this, then note that that font is serif. That is what we mean by serif. If you look at every letter here, you will see these small lines. So whenever you come across anything like this, any font like this, then you should know that that font is under the serif family. Now let's look at sans serif, that is no tiny line or no decorative line. If you look at this font now, you realize that there are no decorative line, it just ends like that. There are no decorative line in this font. So this type of fonts are referred to as the sans serif font. They have no decorative line. So now let's look at some other types of fonts. We have scripts. These script fonts are also referred to as cursive fonts. They are like handwriting. They are like handwriting. They are like some people's handwriting. Most times we don't use script font for the body of text. You see, that's why I did not use it for this body. Now let's look at if we had used it for the body of text. Look at what it will look like. You know, reading something like this, especially when it is the body of text, it will be very difficult to read something like this as the body, especially when it is small, when you are writing something small. So it is not good for body text. The next one we'll be looking at is display font. These fonts are used for headlines and large text that are large. If you use this one, you cannot use this type of font for body. If you look at it, you can see it's very thick, and it will be very difficult to use something like this for the body of text, especially when the text are small, when the size of the font is small. You see that it's only when we zoom in that we are able to read it. If it is small like this, it will be very difficult to read. So these ones too are not good for body text. Then we have the slab serif font. These ones too, they are you can see that they are still under serif because they have this tiny feet that we spoke about under serif, and they are very thick. Like they are thick. This type of font are thick. Just like I said, we can categorize fonts under two major categories, that's serif and sans serif. These ones are just like other category, other types of typography. These ones are just typography that are under sans serif, under serif. Now this is another type, monospace font. This one, as you realize that there are, for this font, each character, that is each alphabet, has the same space. If you look at the space of this N, it occupies the same space with this O, with this S, P, with this A. So that is the monospace font. And for the condensed font, these ones are very tiny. These ones are used in situations where there is a limited space where you want to put your text. That is when we use this type of fonts. Now, that is all about typography. That's all we'll be discussing about typography. When we start designing, you will be seeing more of them and you will be able to identify them. Now, of all this type of typography that I've explained, which one is your favorite? As for me, I use a combination of sans serif and script. And the name of the sans serif ones that I use are Antonio. I use Antonio for my heading. I use Roboto for the body. And sometimes I use Satisfy. I combine Satisfy and Antonio depending on what I am designing. So which one is your favorite?
Did you learn anything from this video? There is more to come. You can go through the previous videos, and for more videos, subscribe and put on the notification bell so that you will not miss out. See you in the next video.